Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated will be filming, recording, and photographing this event for use in Delta promotional videos, photography, advertisements, social media platforms, web pages, and other future Delta events as the case may be. Via continued participation in and by continuing to remain logged into this event, hereby acknowledges that participant may be photographed, filmed, or otherwise recorded while on the premises of the event. Grants Delta, its successors, assigns, and licensees irrevocable consent to include participants' name, likeness, photographic image, mannerisms, and voice or other recording in the production or for exploitation for any purpose whatsoever in any and all media now known or hereafter devised throughout the universe in perpetuity without compensation and or credit. Represents, warrants, and agrees that Delta holds and shall forever hold all display, publication, and ownership rights, licenses, and privileges to any and all media, whether in law or in equity, which may be ascertained, registered, or in any way utilized with respect thereto, and waives, releases, and transfer, as the case may be, any and all such rights, whether in law or equity, as may be necessary or required to effectuate Delta's establishment of ownership. Participant further agrees to abide by and comply with any and all terms of use and or additional participation rules as applicable and specified during relevant sections of the program, and acknowledges, understands, and agrees that violation of such participation rules shall result in legal recourse and disciplinary action.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our event titled Global Girls Perspective, Safety, Security, and Education. My name is Leah Smith, and myself, as well as Beverly Thompson, are the co-chairs of Fairfax County Alumni Chapter's International Awareness and Involvement Committee. Our committee is extremely excited for today's program. It promises a productive and thought-provoking conversation led by 4 esteemed panelists who have all dedicated their careers to improving the lives of women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Carla Fears, who is a member of the International Awareness and Involvement Committee and is the host for today's program. So without further ado, Carla, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, and thank you, Leah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for attending our Zoom virtual event. Today, we have 4 dynamic women on our panel who will be speaking about their experiences which led them to found and or work with these organizations so that no other girl or young woman would have to suffer what they have. We will hear from Angela Peabody, F.A. Cole, Shay Gibbons, and Gladwell Wachira, all 4 of the best compassionate, determined women and activists. Angela Peabody is the executive director and founder of Global Woman Peace Foundation, where peace stands for People Everywhere, All Created Equal. Global Woman Peace was founded on the principles of eliminating violence against human females. Angela immigrated to the United States following a career as a television broadcast journalist in Liberia. She is the first Liberian woman to publish full-length award-winning novels, including Exiled Within the Bowels of American Society, which was published in 2001. In 2016, she headed a committee to write an educational toolkit on female genital mutilation, or FGM. Her many awards include Female Entrepreneur of the Year from the Liberian Image Awards and the Global Health Services Award from the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women. Her organization was instrumental in helping Virginia legislation criminalize FGM. She also participated in a committee that crafted language of HR 6100, the Stop FGM Act of 2020, sponsored by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. In 2014, Angela and Global Woman Peace Foundation held the first walk to end FGM in the United States. F.A. Cole is a Global Woman Peace Foundation board member, an activist, and a voice for FGM survivors. From Freetown, Sierra Leone, F.A. Cole has used her childhood and young adult experiences to design a blueprint to defeat FGM, sexual abuse, and oppression. Through unwavering faith, Cole has developed an art for empowering the lives of women and children. She experienced life's tragedies at an early age and fought to overcome them. She was sexually molested at age 6, forced to undergo FGM at 11, and raped multiple times, among other abuses. Her astonishing work, Distant Sunrise, The Strength in Her Pain to Forgive, speaks to the pain and suffering of women who have experienced FGM and survived physically, mentally, and spiritually. Cole traveled to Sierra Leone in May 2017 to host a special workshop for young women and girls where she distributed sanitary napkins, pencils, and other necessities. She travels back to her home country annually to distribute sanitary pads and other essential items for young women and girls. Cole speaks out about the benefits of restorative surgery and her experiences following it. Although the state of Maine still remains without a law against FGM, Cole has been vigilant in working with a state representative there to put forth a bill through her testimony. Her most recent venture is her skincare product, Yum, which produces moisturizer and cleanser. Shay Gibbons is the founder of I Can Fly International, a nonprofit organization based in the United States and Kenya. Through the I Can Fly organization, she established an adult literacy school for women, 2 preschools, 3 butterfly houses, and a high school in remote villages. She is the creator of the Butterfly Project, which rescues and educates girls and boys affected by child marriage, FGM, sexual violence, child labor, and extreme poverty. She also operates a rescue center for girls ages 5 to 18 years old. She has become the voice of freedom for scores of children who seek change. Shay is the recipient of several local and international awards for her efforts to change the plight of injustice against women, children, and youth. She has been featured in the magazines Essence and Gospel Today, as well as Pop Sugar and other global media outlets. She is also a member of the illustrious Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Southern Africa Alumni Chapter. Gladwell Wachira is an I Can Fly project coordinator and rescuer. She is a Kenyan native who passionately believes in girls' education. She is a rescuer, activist, and mother to 76 girls and boys in her care. As the program coordinator of the I Can Fly project in Western Kenya, she rescues and houses vulnerable children from remote villages. She is a member of the National Council for Negro Women, where she serves on the Human Trafficking Committee. She is a survivor of sexual violence and forced child marriage. Her story of triumph led her to continue fighting for justice for other young girls facing abuse. As of this date, Gladwell has rescued more than 261 girls and counting. Her motto is, always believe in God. And now, our first speaker, Angela Peabody.
Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. I will be sharing with you this afternoon about what Global Woman Peace Foundation, who we are and what we do, where we work, and exactly who we impact. Global Woman Peace Foundation was established based on the principles of ending violence and injustices against women and girls. Our mission is to empower women and girls through education to help eradicate gender-based violence, most especially female genital mutilation, more commonly known as FGM, as was stated earlier. We have a board of directors, which consists of 8 directors, including myself, and 6 advisors to the board. What is female genital mutilation? Many of you in the audience might already know, but according to the World Health Organization, it is defined as the intentional removal of either all or part of the external female genitalia for no medical reason whatsoever. And that happens to be the cause that we focus on. Female genital mutilation originated in Egypt more than 5,000 years ago, and it spread through sub-Saharan Africa, through parts of the Middle East, parts of Southeast Asia. Today, it is practiced in 26 African countries, in parts of the Middle East, in most of Southeast Asia, in Europe, North America, and Australia, as well as South America. And if you look at this map at the bottom, you will see that the red shaded areas, those are where FGM is practiced mostly. And then the orange or brown shaded areas are where it has been introduced in later years. And so you see Australia and North America and parts of Europe. So those are the places where it's practiced. Who performs FGM? FGM can be performed by a medical physician, even though they shouldn't be doing that. It can be performed by grandmothers of the girls, by elder women in the villages, or just anyone, an older aunt, anyone who is responsible for carrying out FGM in the village or in the community is able to perform FGM. And who is impacted? Everyone, the whole community is impacted by FGM because when one girl is caught, she might have a friend who is not caught, and that friend is impacted in a way. Her parents are impacted. The entire community is impacted by FGM. Now, I will tell you what we do as an organization. We have programs, and when we first started, we didn't structure our programs right off the bat. We, as women heard about us, they came to us, and based on what their needs were, we started to formulate our programs. For example, the Wholesome Organic Relief Program is, and including the support group that we have, we offer counseling, either one-on-one counseling or group counseling to the women who come to us. We also sponsor, we raise money and sponsor their restorative surgery, which was mentioned in the introduction, in FA's introduction. So that's what our Wholesome Organic Relief program consists of. And then there were women coming to us who might not have been interested in the surgery, even though counseling is recommended, is highly recommended, and it's a requirement. But some women come to us and their need is just this to survive here in the United States, to resettle here in the United States. they need help with their asylum application, for example. So we engage pro bono attorneys to assist these women so that they can apply for asylum. And once they receive their work permit, we assist them with job applications and prepare them for their job interviews. And it doesn't just end there with the Survivors Resettlement Program. We follow through and we assist them in obtaining their permanent residency, which is more commonly known as a green card, and which leads eventually to citizenship of the US. So that's what the Survivor Resettlement Program is about. The Kids Reach Shield program, when we discovered that in 2017, that there were police officers who knew nothing, they were clueless about FGM. They were called to a case and that was in progress, and they knew nothing about it. And the woman who called them just happened to have knowledge about FGM because she attends my church and she attended one of my presentations. So she helped to rescue this little girl whose father was attempting to cut her. And we decided to start the Kids Reach Shield program, which is specifically our training program. So we train law enforcement. We have trained even FBI agents. We train school nurses, school teachers. We have even written a special training manual designed just for law enforcement, and one designed just for school teachers and school nurses. So that's our Kids Reach Shield program. And then our Just For You program is the international program, which we distribute sanitary napkins to Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. And we also provide scholarships for 20 girls in Liberia at the Julie E. Tate School. We are headquartered in Virginia, the Washington, D.C. metro area. That's where we do most of our work. But we also work throughout because of the virtual opportunities now with our support group. We have an outreach all across the US, all across North America. That includes Canada. We have women in our support group that attend from all over. And then, of course, we have presence in Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia because of our international program. Like I said, who we impact women who have survived FGM. We impact girls who are at risk of FGM, school nurses, teachers, law enforcement, and the entire community, because like I mentioned earlier, the entire community is impacted by this act. Our advocacy work, as mentioned earlier in the introduction of me, we have worked tirelessly on legislation, state and federal legislation. We were vigilant in helping to have FGM criminalized in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We also worked with a state senator in Virginia to have FGM included in the family life education curriculum for middle and high school students. We partner and then we help to craft legislation on the federal level for the HR 6100 bill. We partner with George Washington University. They happen to be our biggest partner. We collaborate with many other organizations in in events and presentations and just educating the public on FGM. And then our two signature events are the Walk to End FGM, which we started in 2014, and it has now become an popular international event. We also realized that there were so many people, women, men, and students who dedicate their time in the work toward ending FGM. And so we decided to start the Global Woman Awards in 2015. And every October, we award at least 11 women and men and children and students for their work by giving them the Global Woman Award. Now, how can you help? And I hope you're wondering to yourself, well, how can we help with this? You can get involved, you can volunteer, you can support our programs, you can learn more about FGM, and I'm sure you will learn a lot when you hear FA and Gladwell today talk about FGM. Share that information that you gather today from here with everybody you know, your neighbors. Make it a water cooler conversation. Talk to people about it. Become an advocate. Become passionate like I did about FGM. And that's how you can contact us. And I thank you for your time. I try to make this very timely because I wanted to give more time to FA to tell her story. So thank you for your time this afternoon. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And I will turn the floor over now to Latoya. Thank you.
Actually, it's me. Thank you, Ms. Peabody, for your presentation. Thank you very much. It was very informative and it was very thorough. Next, we have F.A. Cole to give her presentation and her experiences. Ms. Cole.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Princess Anne Mary Cole, but I go by F.A. Cole. I am originally from Sierra Leone, and I underwent, well, I hate saying I underwent. I was forced to, first of all, before I get started, I do not sugarcoat FGM. I do not sugarcoat the effect that it had on me. And 37 years later, I still battle with PTSD. I'm now 48, but I still battle with PTSD. So, and I don't tiptoe around it. I get a bit graphic because that's the only way to talk about FGM. You have to let people know the severity of this tradition. So I'm originally from Sierra Leone. I am more than a survivor. I just want to take this opportunity to thank God on behalf of Global Woman Peace Foundation, because in 2017, I underwent restorative surgery. And after that, women now see me as the mentor, because I did a 30-day video in December of 2017 about my healing process after I had the surgery. But my mom, who's Creole, did not undergo FGM. So I was forced to undergo FGM because of my stepmother. And I came to learn that if you're a step parent, a stepmom, you have no right to take somebody else's daughter to have them undergo FGM. Anyway, so at age 11, I was forced to have my clitoris forcefully amputated. That's the word. Some people call it female genital cutting. There's nothing cutting about that. You know, most of us have had paper cuts, knife cuts, scissors, maybe machete, I don't know. But this is a forceful amputation, depending on the type of female genital mutilation. There are three types. I guess now the WHO says there are 4 types of female genital mutilation. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how it happened to me so that you know, in case you didn't know about it. So we got there. They usually take these girls into the forest to have this done. And first of all, it's also a demonic practice. And those of my sisters, I'm not talking about biological sisters, I'm talking about the sisterhood of survivors of FGM. Those of us who've undergone FGM do not even talk about the spiritual impact that it has on survivors, the demonic impact that it has on survivors. It only takes the grace and the mercy of God for somebody to understand the spiritual implication of female genital mutilation. So that night, my stepmother coerced my father into having us go through it. And so we got there, me and my older sister. I was 11 at the time. My sister was 13. And so when we got there, these women have been drinking. They drink a lot before the process. So they took my sister first. I didn't know what was going on. We were naked. They have us sat underneath this big tree, and they called on my sister first because she is older, and then they came and got me. But before they did, they blindfolded me. They tied my hands behind my back, and again, I was naked. I was 11. I hadn't even had my period. I hadn't even I'm being through adolescence. Yeah, my chest, nothing was there. So they led me and they put me on what I call the bed of death. And I usually get panic attacks. I'm in therapy, so just bear with me. That's why like 10 minutes. Anyway, so they put me there, and the woman who was the cutter, because I was blindfolded, I couldn't see them. So, but they laid me there. My stepmother, of course, was there. Her mother was there. And all of these other women who were strangers to us were there. And so they laid me on the floor and they spread my legs wide open and they pinned my legs, spread it and pinned. I believe it was 2 women on each side. So 4 women held my thighs down to restrain me. And the woman who's the cutter sat on top of my chest. She was naked also. You may be wondering, if you were blindfolded, how did you know she was naked? So they handed her what I call it was the same razor that they used on my sister. And that's the thing also that people have to pay attention to. They use one. It will either be a razor or a box cutter or a really sharp rock. They use it on all of the girls. So if one of them has some STD or anything, any disease, everybody gets it. So as she began to amputate my clitoris, I began to fight because I was not expecting that, the shock. Nobody told me what was going to happen. My stepmother just told us that, we were going somewhere and we'll be made into women. And afterwards we get lots and lots of presents, So at age 11, I have heard about the Bondo Society. That's what it's called in Freetown, in Sierra Leone. We know that when these girls come back, they sit on a couch, in a settee, nicely decorated, and people come and give them presents. They give them presents. So that's all I was thinking about. Nobody told me that what they were going to do to me will affect me for the rest of my life. No one told me that. So as this woman held my clitoris and began to amputate, I began to fight, I began to scream, and I pulled myself forward and I beat her bum. And that's when I realized that she was naked. Why did she have to be naked? And that's part of the demonic aspect of FGM. So as I continued to scream, after I beat the woman, they gagged me. And they held me down. And afterwards, she amputated my clitoris. I thought that I had undergone through, what was done was type 1, which is the amputation of the clitoris. But 2017, when I met with Dr. Bowers, she calls me Francis. She said, I have bad news for you. It wasn't type 1 that was done to you, it was type 2. And what type 2 is, they amputate the clitoris and they remove your labia minora. So I got angry all over again. But that night, it was August 1st. I would never forget. August 1st. I can't even remember the year now. I've always remembered the year, but I can't. But this was 37 years ago. I looked down, I was covered in blood. And I believe that was where my blood phobia started. Nobody told us about how it would affect me as a person, as a girl, as a woman. No one told us. I still haven't healed emotionally, mentally, as you can see. But I just want to thank God. God created me as a woman and gave me the clitoris for a reason. But then these women demonically, forcefully took it away from me. And not just me alone. There are over 200 million of us. Some girls die there because they hemorrhage to death. And when that happens, these women will tell you that you died because you are a witch. Nobody is supposed, that no child is supposed to die. So when if you need to know more about my story, you can always reach out to me, and my videos are on YouTube, Ethical, and I wrote a book about it. But just for today, 2017, I had the restorative surgery done. And the way it's done is, it's not plastic surgery. I used to call it reconstructive surgery, but it's not. Oh my God, why didn't I bring napkins, paper towel, tissue, something? I'm sorry. So what happens is Dr. Bowers, what she did, she opens up where the clitoris is supposed to be, because if you know, the clitoris is really long. So what they did, it's like an iceberg. They just amputate the top, what they see, because they believe that a woman, oh boy, the clitoris is like a penis. I'm like, what? But so Dr. Bowers did my surgery thanks to the donors of Global Women Peace Foundation. And 2 weeks later, after my surgery, I was just watching television. I saw a couple kiss on television, and I had the sensation down there, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And I picked up my phone and I sent Dr. Bowers a text message. I said, Dr. Bowers, and I told her what happened. I said, this is what happened. I was just watching telly and I saw people kiss, which has happened a million times, but then I felt the sensation. And she smiled and she wrote back and said, she was smiling and said, that's the clitoris, that's what it's supposed to do. So they took that away from me. I was created whole and complete, but after that was taken away from me, I was not whole. I was not a whole human. I was not a whole woman. But I just want to thank God for reuniting me with my clitoris. It's my new toy. And 2 years ago, I got married. And I just thank God for the husband that I have. He's so patient. And we've been enjoying it ever since. It's still a struggle to 100% enjoy sex, but I'm doing my best. It's a daily process, and I share my story to encourage other survivors who are interested in the surgery. And to date, I don't know how many women who have reached out to me, and I don't know how many women who've reached out to Global Women Peace Foundation for the surgery, just because I didn't keep my mouth shut. And I'll continue to share my story and empower women to tell them that yes, we may not look like other women. We have a shared pain. We may not enjoy sex even after the surgery the way God intended for us to do it, but hey, we are no different from all the other women who have not undergone this practice, and that we just have to, I don't want to say live with it, but we just have to look beyond that and tell ourselves that we are women, we are complete. Something may be missing, but we are whole, and we are just as beautiful in the sight of God as our fellow sisters who have not undergone FGM. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Cole, for your bravery and your strength, and for sharing very viscerally what FGM really is. Up now is Shay Gibbons. Last year, Fairfax County Alumni Chapter hosted an event for the I Can Fly project, which is one of Delta Sigma Theta's International Awareness Involvement Committee's sustainability programs. Ms. Gibbons.
Thank you so much to the Fairfax County Alumni Chapter for inviting me for this very informative and moving call today. My fellow panelists, Ms. Peabody and Ms. Cole, I commend you and I honor you for what you were doing. And I will continue to pray that God would increase your territory as we all continue to do the amazing work that we do. I'm just gonna tell you my story, and I'll show you a few pictures and a video, but I'm just basically going to focus on my story because, as you can see, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I'm a Cali girl that actually moved to Kenya, East Africa 10 years ago. And I've been a missionary for many years because I heard the call of God tell me to go to East Africa and help. And so I had been helping in the area of education for so many years. And then one day, something changed my life. I was reading a newspaper article in the Kenyan Daily Nation newspaper about a 10-year-old girl who was engaged to a 55-year-old man. And this was happening in a certain tribe. And this particular man paid a dowry price to marry this 10-year-old. And that price was 1 cow and $40 cash. And so I'm reading this article and I'm absolutely blown away that this was even allowed. And so what I find out in the article, before this little girl has to marry this 55-year-old man, she had to go through FGM, female genital mutilation. And at that time, this was around 2009, I didn't even know what it was. And so when I did a little research and I found out about the procedure, I began to weep. And so as I read further in this article, I realized that once there were rescuers that were mentioned in the story, that there are people who literally go into the community and they kidnap. That's a better word to give you an idea of what's happening. When people find out that girls are being married off, that girls are going through FGM, these are brave people on the ground in many parts of the world. And in Kenya, there was this one rescuer. She grabbed that 10-year-old back. And so what ended up happening, the man was upset. He was disgusted that he couldn't marry the girl after he had given them a cow and $40 cash. And so what the parents did, they said, we need our cash, we need our cow. So we will allow you to marry the 6-year-old sister in exchange for the 10-year-old. And as the article read, the 6-year-old married the 55-year-old. He took her by the hand and he hid her in the hills of Kenya. And the story ended. And as clear as I'm speaking to you today, I hear the voice of God in the room while I'm reading this article. And the voice of God spoke to me 3 words, and those 3 words were, go get them. And so when I heard this word, go get them, the first thing I'm thinking, every excuse came to my mind. I'm like, well, I don't speak that language. I'm from California. I'm a woman. I don't have money like Oprah Winfrey. How do I go get them? And I don't know this particular tribe. Well, after I couldn't sleep for a week, I knew something had to be done. And I needed to figure it out, and I need to figure it out fast. And so as a result of me trying to figure it out, I started a program in Kenya called the Butterfly Project. And the Butterfly Project was designed to grab girls, to rescue girls, as many as I could at a time, in order to give them a safe place for those who were trying to flee female genital mutilation, for those who were trying to flee forced early marriage. Because in the tribes where the girls were being forced to go through mutilation, the main reason the families were forcing them to go through it was because they wanted to marry them off. And so there was a correlation between early forced marriage and female genital mutilation. And so each family believed a girl cannot be married off. We cannot get a dowry price or a high dowry price until we marry off that young girl. And so I Can Fly International, we decided to partner with rescuers in different parts of Kenya that would go into the rural areas where most people are not found, most people are not checked on, where most people, especially girls, feel forgotten. And we went into these areas and we would find girls out in the middle of the night cooking their husband's tea and catering for their every need. Some of them as young as 10, 11, and 12 years old. And so as a result, every time we would grab a different girl, we would always try to figure out where were we going to take them. And so we started something kind of like an underground railroad system, where we would take a girl, we would hide her in one particular area until we can get her to the next safe place, and then a next safe place. And so after we had kept hiding girls all over the country, I came up with this idea about building houses for girls who needed to hide and run away. And those houses were called butterfly houses. And the butterfly house was designed to be a place of refuge, a place of hiding where girls could run when they needed to escape these types of atrocities. And we started building these houses on our campus where we have a high school called I Can Fly High School. And so the girls began to come by the dozens. And I just want to let you know, while we were first building our first house in 2011 and 2012, the Kenyan government made a statement over the radio. And they said, as of February 11, 2012, we are now officially outlawing female genital mutilation. And so the day the government made that statement, my heart just, I was excited. And then someone says to me, they said, well, what are you so happy about? This is great that they gave the law and they told the people that it's now outlawed. But I had several people call me and say, our jobs may be even a little harder. And I said, why is that? And they said, because now the FGM process is going to go underground. And so people will actually hide. And some of them may even cross the borders into countries like Tanzania to have it done. And so it's going to make it harder for you to find those girls. And so I said, wow, okay, but at least if we have the law on our side, if we have the law on our books against FGM, we have a good start. We have a fighting chance. And so for the last, I'll say 10 years, we've been able to rescue dozens and dozens of girls from female genital mutilation and forced early marriage. And our fight literally continues on a daily basis. Because as we go out into these very rural communities, we are beginning to meet more and more girls who are telling us that sometimes the FGM rates begin to go up. Because when there's poverty, when the parents can't find a job, when the parents don't have food to put on the table, you know what they do? They decide to marry off their girls. They decide, well, she's 10 now, she's 9 now, and we need the money. So we're going to marry her off. But first, she has to go through FGM. Because without that FGM, she's not considered a woman. She's not considered marriageable. Without that FGM, we will not get the high dowry price like we need to. And so through I Can Fly International, we are not only offering rescue services, but we're offering them education. because education is one of the paths to their way out and our way of educating the communities and going back and telling the community people that enough is enough. And so after we built the I Can Fly High School, a few years later, we ended up joining forces with a beautiful lady that you're going to hear from in a few moments. And we started the I Can Fly Rescue Center. And the lady you're going to hear from next, Gladwell Washira, is the program coordinator of the I Can Fly Rescue Center, where with the help of the Kenyan police who are now hearing our cries, are now partnering with us to help us go into the most rural communities and grab girls. And so in these photos, you can see some of the police here who are now helping us and not pushing against us. Because at one time, they believed in FGM because it was a part of their culture. But slowly, they're starting to listen. They're starting to wake up. And in addition to the FGM, we help girls who are being victimized as by human trafficking, which is a system that exists all over the world. But it's something that we also feel very passionately about. And so as all these girls join our umbrella, we will continue the fight against FGM, not only for those who have gone through it, but so many hundreds of girls and millions of girls right now are at risk, trying to find a way out. And so as we continue our voices to go out into the communities, to do the outreach that we're doing, where we go into the schools, we go into the churches, we go into organizations, and we tell the women, we tell the girls that you have a voice and that you can say no. And I Can Fly is a place where you can run. It is a place where you can hide. It is a place where you have security and protection. And so that is what we do. And so now at this time, I would like to share with you a video. And it's a video about a girl at our school who is a survivor of FGM. And not only is she a survivor of FGM, she's also an advocate because now she's doing outreach in a place called Narok, Kenya, to the Maasai community. Now you will hear from Rebecca Nabala.
Lale yo, lale yo, lale yo, lale yo. Enero lo Maasai lang amay bunyangi sum, ayangi sumendiro amugera. Hi, I'm Rebecca Nabala. I'm 16 years old. I came from Kenya, Narok. I am proud to be a Maasai. I came from a community who usually rear cattle, rear sheep and goats. I usually go with my age mate to fetch firewood, to fetch water, and also to look after cattle. Our community usually have a culture whereby they do FGM to girls. So that day, it was a big ceremony in our home. When it was 3 a.m. in the morning, I was waken up. I was taken outside. The mothers who were in our home catch me, and the women who do FGM done for me. And after that, I was taken to the bed where I started bleeding because the doctor cut me in the veins. My father decided to call a doctor to come and see what was happening to me. The doctor came and she put me a thread. I stopped bleeding. After that, I went back to school. I studied until I finished my class 8. After finishing my class 8, I came to I Can Fly High School. When I was in Form 2, it came back to affect me. And one day, I decided to go and ask permission from Madam Principal. After that, Madam Director called me and asked me what was my problem, and I shared with her. She really loved me, and she told me that she was going to take care of me. She took me to hospital, and the doctor treated me, and I became well. when I came back to school, I was really okay. And I thank God because now I'm okay, I'm healthy. And I also thank Madam Givens because she really loves me and she takes care of me. Let's all give education to a girl child because it is very important, and a girl child and a boy are always equal.
Thank you so much. I want to add that in 2017, Rebecca Nabala, our student from I Can Fly High School, came to the United States. And she went to many different organizations. She went to churches. We were on the radio. We were on some TV programs. And everyone asked her a question. They said, would you like to come to the United States and study? Would you like to have a wonderful life here in the United States? 15-year-old Rebecca Nabala answered back. And she said, no, I don't want to move to the United States. I don't want to study in the United States. What I want to do, I want to stay in my country. I want to be educated in my country. I want to be a voice for the millions of girls in my country that are suffering right now, in my village and in the communities in my county. And I'm not trying to be a doctor. I'm not trying to be a lawyer. I'm not trying to be some big name profession. I want to be a rescuer because I want to go back. And when I become of age, I'm going to grab as many girls as possible as a rescuer. And every girl who is even has the potential of being hurt will be rescued. And I will go down in history as rescuing more girls in the history of this nation than ever. And so that was one of my most proudest moments from one of my students. And we continue this fight. And so at this time, I will turn this back over so that you may introduce our program coordinator, Gladwell Washira.
Thank you so much, Ms. Givens, for the work you do, for the minds that you expand and the lives that you save. And last, but certainly not least, we have Gladwell Wachira. Ms. Wachira.
Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you so much to Madam Shea Given. For one thing, the time that I called you and I told you that we have so many girls that need to be rescued, you are there for us. You are there to rescue these girls. So thank you so much, Shea. Yeah, so I will start by introducing myself again. My name is Gladwell Wachira. I'm 29 years old. A mother to 76 girls. And I have rescued more than 261 girls in my community. I am an activist and also I am a rescuer. I'm so proud to be a rescuer because it makes me feel that I'm changing lives. Yeah, so I will talk about a young girl who was 16 years old. This girl went through sexual abuse by a relative, and the parents were never supportive because the uncle had a lot of cows and goats and that kind of wealthy village man. After that, that girl went through the child marriage, and she had to run away from the child marriage, go settle somewhere far from home, learning from her own relatives, her own family, to go start life somewhere away from them, and also to start rescuing girls in the same community. And that girl is me. So 16 years back, when I was 16 years, I went through the sexual abuse, child marriage, a lot of bitterness. And I have been bitter for a long time because I was seeing girls going through the FGM in my community, going through rape, defilement, child marriage, human trafficking, and I would do nothing. So the time came when I decided it's time for me to start rescuing these girls. So I rescued my first 12 girls. I had no place to keep them. I was keeping them where I was also living. And that is the time I had to, that is the time that I saw whatever happened with me, it is also happening to other girls in the community. I never knew how extreme it was until I saw the number increasing. I had 4, I had 5, I had 12 girls, it came to 22 girls. And that is the time that I realized it's time for me to get help. And I'm telling you that I have reached out to so many people who said no, who said they don't know what FGM it was all about. But one day I did call Shay Given, and she automatically came to rescue these girls. And from that day, from that moment, I just realized that I have a certain kind of a power behind me. I have a certain kind of there was no fear inside me. And I decided it's time to rescue these young girls. I have gone to an extreme dangerous places. I have put my life in danger for these girls. But that is all that we do in the Butterfly Center. And it makes me so happy to know that I am 29 years with 76 girls who calls me mom, and more than 261 girls that I have rescued from the hands of people who wanted to harm them. So I became a program coordinator with the I Can Fly, and I'm so lucky to be part of the great team with no fear, the great team with no limit. I'm telling you, even if it means to bring a girl from a hole, that is what we do. So this year, early this year, I got elected to represent Kenya with the National Council for Negro Women. And also I was put in a committee section with their NCNW Human Trafficking section. And some days back, I got nominated to be one of the leaders ending FGM in this community through the USAID organization. And I have received numerous awards locally because I have never been out of Kenya, but I'm so proud of that also. So what I do mostly is to rescue young girls affected by female genital mutilation, and that I call cutting of the lady's clitoris, and it happens in a different way here in Kenya. Girls are they are sleeping, maybe one day, one time, they're just sleeping, they are taken by force close to the border, because in Tanzania, some of the people there believes in FGM in a little way, and their clitoris are cut off using the same knife, using the same laser, using the same object. And they also have transmission of the diseases there. So I also rescue girls affected by rape and defilement. Defilement, it's when young babies are defiled. And our currently young girl to be defiled, it's 2 years. We also have 4 years. Yeah, so those are the most young girls that we have. We also have big girls who have been raped in the process of being promised something else. So I also rescue girls affected by child marriage. We have child marriage in our community. After the FGM in Kenya, it is a way of preparing you to be a woman, no matter the age, no matter you are 10, no matter you are 12, so that you can get married. So they don't even observe the age. All they know, it's like, it's time to sell this. I call it sell, because you give a girl away and then you receive a lot of things. You get cows, you get goats, without minding the life of that young girl. So I have been doing this for a long time, and it will make me feel relieved to see that I'm changing the community, we are changing the community, and to see a lot of girls so happy that they never went through the FGM. I was married to a 72 years old person. And it was not easy for me, because I was going through that, because I was seemed like it's a must I go through that. And the pain that I went through, I don't want any girl to go through, because I always believe that no matter the place that we come from, no matter the place that no matter the language that these girls talk or I speak, no matter the color of our skin, no matter nothing, we all have dreams. And all these girls should be given a space to realize their dreams. Selling or marrying off a girl who is 10 or 12 or 11 years old, it's limiting their space to realize that they even have a dream. So our organization, let me say, even personally, I have tried to do my best. And also as an organization, Shay and the team have also really tried to support me, to be there for me, even when my life is in danger. Because I have taken people's wives who are 10 years, who are 12 years, and I say, no, you can't marry this girl. It's time to get out of that kind of a marriage. A young girl, 6 years, 7 years, married as a fourth wife. I can't pass through that home and leave that girl there. And imagine I can just give Shay a call. You know what? Me and this girl, we are in danger. So she always have a way of rescuing all these girls, taking them in a safe place, giving them education. Because education is the only thing that will make this world change. And I know ladies, I know girls can change the world if they are given that opportunity. So as I clear this, as I'm done, I would say thank you so much. And I really believe that together people can do something, together people can change the world, together we can help and educate as more women as possible. So thank you so much, and I'm so happy to be part of this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you all, ladies, for your insight, your brutal but necessary honesty, and the amazing work that you do. The world is blessed to have your presence and your good works. Right now, it's time for questions and answers. If the audience has questions for the panelists, please enter them in the chat. Thank you.
While we wait for the questions to come in, I'll start with a question, and that is simply, how can we help you all?
I will go ahead and answer. In regards to help with I Can Fly International, because we are a program that rescues first, educates second, and empowers third, we are always in need of people to volunteer and sign up as a sponsor. And as a sponsor, that means you will help us keep a child safe. For instance, at the I Can Fly Rescue Center, where Gladwell works as a program coordinator, she is always in need of a sponsor, because when she gets a call in the middle of the night or whatever time it is, we have to organize her transport to go pick up a girl. Then she has to get her to the hospital in order to get checked out or get medical services. Then when we keep the girl, we have several girls in our program called the Girls on the Run program, where she's literally hiding the girls, and the girls have to go through a court case where they have filed a judgment against their perpetrators. And so as a result of that, through the sponsorship, it takes care of her education because we put her in school. It takes care of her transportation to get her back and forth to school, back and forth to the court. And it also takes care of her uniform and makes sure she is fed every day and she gets counseling services. So the sponsorships at I Can Fly are very crucial. And that is just one of the ways that someone could be a part of what we're doing and help. And as a result, you also get a letter from the girl, and we even have opportunities where you can meet the girl through Zoom for those of you who would love to be a part of the program directly.
And it looks like we have another question that asks how much it costs to protect or sponsor a girl for I Can Fly.
To sponsor a girl at I Can Fly is $68 per month or $800 per year. We currently have 150 girls in need of sponsors. So when someone decides, well, I want to take one or I want to take two, every sponsorship makes a difference, because then those are more girls that we can help in the future. And it relieves the burden from the organization if everyone or a group takes at least one girl or more.
Thank you. And we have another question that asks why FGM is done. We know what it is, but what is the purpose behind this practice?
I will try to answer that. Like I said in my presentation, it originated in Egypt during the Pharaoh era, more than 5 centuries ago. And the Pharaoh and his people felt this is a great way to keep our girls virgins until they are married. And even after they are married, they will not have any sexual desires to roam or to step out of their marriage. That was the original reason that they felt. Today, it's, if you ask anyone on the continent, they will give you, who believes in FGM, they will give you 100 other reasons. There are so many myths that the girl is not a woman, like Shay mentioned. In order for her to get married, she has part of the preparation in the Western world. When you're preparing for your marriage, you're working on your trousseau and you're shopping and you're excited. Well, these girls, like what Shay and Gladwell described, they are not, this is nothing to be excited about. Part of the preparation of marriage is going through FGM. That is the first thing they do to prepare her for marriage, because the men believe that she's not marriage material. She's not a woman, a full woman, if she's not cut, which is totally a myth. As we all know, we are women and we know that that is not true at all. And today, many young men leave their wives because of FGM, because they have been cut. So young men do not want a woman who's been cut. It is the old belief that a woman isn't marriage material unless she's been cut. So that is why they do it. In some cultures, I think F.A. mentioned, they believe that the clitoris is a male part. It's like a penis, so they have to remove it, or they believe that the girl is not clean if she still has her clitoris and her labia intact. So it could be any of those reasons why they do it.
Miss Angela, I also want to add that coming from Sierra Leone, my father was a devout Catholic, because most people, when they hear FGM, they believe that it's a Muslim thing. It is not. I was born and raised Catholic, but FGM in my country of birth, Sierra Leone, is a money-making industry, because not only are these girls are tortured for the rest of their lives, but their fathers pay money. Like my father paid a huge sum of money to have my sister and I tortured, because that's what I call it, for the rest of our lives. He later regretted it, but it was a day too late. So it's also a money-making industry, which is why it's so difficult to eradicate this practice in countries where it's being practiced.
Yes, and to add to what Effie said, in my country of origin, Liberia, which is a neighboring country to Effie's country, it's the same thing. It's run by what they call the Sunday Society, and it's a deeply rooted secret society, just like the Bando Society in Kenya, in Sierra Leone and Guinea. And it's all money making. It's an enterprise. So they do, one cutter might cut up to 100 girls at a day, in a day, and they charge up to $300 a girl to be cut. So you do the math and you see why they are doing it as well. So it's not all about culture and tradition, and it's most definitely not about religion.
Can I add to something that Ms. Cole said a moment ago about, and Ms. Peabody, about it becoming an enterprise? Interestingly enough, pre-COVID, 2017, 18, and 19, I Can Fly International was a part of a program. We were partnering with other groups in Kenya where we had an FGM, runaway camp for girls who were threatened to go through the cut. And so the girls would come to the camps and they would hide. We would keep them for a particular amount of time until their lives weren't threatened anymore. And there were there were cutters who were nearby, who were saying things like, when you rescue a girl or when you host these FGM camps, you are getting in the way of our income, because this is how we make money. And these women were like, they considered themselves something like midwives or mothers in the community. And they were very proud of their duties of cutting girls. And so it wasn't so much that they couldn't cut the girls. It was more about the fact that this was getting in the way of their income. And so it literally blew us away. And I remember Gladwell, she could say it a little better than I can. Some of them said to her, we don't want to stop cutting. Maybe if you offered us a job, because there are no jobs here, we would consider it. Blew me away. But I just wanted to add that to let you know that it has become an enterprise, income generating activity, sadly.
Okay, let me add on that. In Kenya, FGM started when we had the war, like people are fighting. So the men would perform the FGM on their women so that their women cannot interact with the men who are left back at home. Because there was that age of the men that were going to the forest to fight, or they were going out to fight. So they were leaving some young men, some young boys back at home. So since you had your clitoris, it means that you are sexually active and you will be having sex with the men left back at home. So they decided to chop off the clitoris so that their women cannot be sexually active. So that is how it is started in the community that I am in. And also the old women in this community are the one performing the FGM, and they are giving things like cows, money, goats, chicken as a gift after performing the FGM. And the worst part is when a girl dies after the practice of the FGM, if she was cut and she dies, in our tribe, we don't bury the girl. We throw the girl in the forest because she does not deserve to go back to the soil. So there are so many things that happens with FGM. Just imagine you are a girl going through the FGM, and then you are told she is dead because of bleeding. And now she has to be thrown away in the forest so that the animals can feed on her, because she is a girl, she is a woman of the soil, and she cannot go back to that soil. So every country have a different ways that they perform FGM and how they handle the FGM. So I would say it's kind of a business for these old ladies or for these people performing the FGM. And I'm so lucky that I have been put in a campaign that is involving men to end the FGM, because the men are the head of the home, and those men are the one forcing and paying money so that their girls can be cut. So right now we are working with men to tell them, if you don't need a girl who went through the FGM, why are you taking your girl to go through the FGM? Because they also like women who never went through the FGM. But at the same time, the clan is, the community of the tribe is forcing them to give their girls away to go through the FGM. Yeah, so that's all I can add.
Thank you so much for weighing in, everyone, on those questions. We have a few more that we'd like to get through before we end in a few minutes. I'm going to ask two simultaneously, and then we may have time for an additional question. So the first one would be, have you all noticed any political figures that have really stepped up in their support to end this practice? In particular, world leaders or other politicians. Ms. Peabody, I know you mentioned that you received some backing from U.S. Congress. And then secondly, someone asked if FGMs are performed by other women who have experienced them. I think the question behind that is, if a woman has experienced that and gone through that trauma, would she also be involved in perpetuating that? So yeah, those are the two questions for now.
This is Efe. I'll take the last question. I believe I privately responded. Yes, FGM is only performed by women who themselves have undergone the practice, because it's a secret society. So if you have not undergone FGM, there's no way they're going to allow you even close to the bush. And that's why when I was screaming for my mom, when it happened to me August 1st, 1981, that's it, she wasn't there, because had she come, even if she knew, they would attack her and they would have her undergo FGM as well. So in Sierra Leone, it's a cult, it's a secret society. And if you're not a member, you can't do it to somebody else. And the other thing is, they always tell these girls that if you talk about it, you share about what happened in this bush, your stomach will swell and you'll die. Well, me, I was 11. I was rebellious then. The minute I got out, when I went back to school, the first thing I did was share with a friend of mine who's Creole, who had never undergone FGM. And can you imagine, 37 years later, she saw that I'm actively involved and I'm sharing my story, working with legislators. She kept my secret, and she said, it was such a hard thing for me to do. I carried your secret with me for this past 37 years. And she said, now I can let go because you've been talking about it.
Thank you.
And the first question was, any government official the federal law, the original federal law in the United States to criminalize FGM was passed in 1996, and it was signed by President Clinton. But that law had so many loopholes because at the time they didn't know enough about FGM. So then there was an amendment to the law, the 1996 law, in 2013 when President Obama signed the vacation cutting law. That's meaning parents were taking their children when they figured that Americans had gotten wind of what was going on. They didn't want to do it here, so they were removing the girls and taking them to their countries of origin and having it done there and bringing them back. And when that was discovered, everybody pushed for the vacation cutting law, and President Obama signed that into law in 2013. And then, of course, in 2017, a federal judge threw out the first big federal case, FGM case in the US. He threw it out because in 2018 rather, he said Congress was not, it wasn't constitutional for Congress to pass a law like that. So that's why in 2020, last year, we pushed for the new bill, which was presented by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. She has been a strong advocate against FGM from the time I met her in 2013. And she pushed for that law to be passed, which was signed into law this January 20, I think it was on the 5th of January that it was signed into law. So that the new federal law covers everything. It has no loopholes for anything to slip through. We made sure of that when we were crafting the language to that.
Thank you so much. I think probably one final question that we have would be, what are some of the tactical volunteer opportunities that someone could take advantage of to assist both organizations in your fight against FGM?
I will answer that. One of the things that we're looking for is because we do the majority of our work in Kenya, although we are a United States-based 501c3 nonprofit organization, we are always looking for people to campaign and do administrative support on this side of the country in order to help us fulfill the needs that are in Kenya. And so what I would suggest, because it's a few things that someone could do to volunteer with us, I would suggest that you email us. I would love to have a conversation with you and let you know some of the different volunteer opportunities that exist. So I'll go to the chat and put in our email address. Thank you.
And to add to that, for Global Woman Peace Foundation, young people, we just opened up our internship program, which used to only accommodate university students. We opened it up this year to high school students as well. And it has been really successful. Just 2 days ago, we received two new applicants, high school applicants for our internship program. And when we are putting on the walk every fall, every October, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities then. So please contact us. I think our contact information was in the chat box.
Okay, I just also want to add, as a survivor, and thanks to Global Woman, I also just launched my 501c3, but the way you can help most is, as a female, if you sexually intimate with your partner, just imagine the 200 plus women and girls out there who would never experience that. And so if you would want them to just have just a tiny pinch of what you enjoy, what you experience when you sexually intimate with that special someone. Just think about donating to sponsor. I call it sponsor a clitoris, sponsor a clitoris, so that women like myself will enjoy what you enjoy. And you can do that if you reach out to Global Women Peace Foundation, or you can also do that. Mine is still in the process. It's a 501c3, but I'm working on my website. But for now, reach out to Miss Angela Peabody and help one of my sisters enjoy what I am enjoying today. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. So you've heard all the presentations and you've asked questions, you've heard the questions. If you have more, you know how to contact all of our panelists. So please take the opportunity to do that, because the more you know, the more you can do. In the meantime, there has been a link posted in the chat. It's a survey. We'd like you to do that for us so that we at the International Awareness Involvement Committee will know how we did and what you would suggest we can add or do to help you move ahead with supporting these organizations. We would appreciate your thoughts on this event that we have put on. And now I think we're ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the president of the Fairfax County Alumni Chapter, Helene Fisher.
Thank you, Sora. We are sincerely grateful, and from the depths of our heart, for the speakers who shared such powerful and moving messages in helping us expand our knowledge on the global perspective of girls. You charged us to do our part to fight against FGM. We heard you. We really heard you. I want to thank our International Awareness and Involvement Committee of the Fairfax County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta for calling and recalling our attention to this topic. The challenge to the committee and the challenge to the participants on the Zoom meeting, those listening to this message on social media, to further connect with our speakers and their organizations and organizations like theirs, to ensure that the message of enough is enough and that it is heard and resolved. Let us engage and do our part. Let us spread the word and fight the fight. We want to thank all of you for joining us today. We truly appreciate your participation and we hope this session was insightful. Please don't forget to complete the survey. Your responses really do help us focus on the execution and the effectiveness of our programs. We really need you to help us so that it resonates with you and the messages that we provide in the future. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the Fairfax County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, please visit our website at fcacdst.org and look for us on social media. We will post and the replay of today's session, and stay tuned for upcoming international awareness and involvement events. And with that, thank you again for your participation, and we bid you a good afternoon. Thank you all.